Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and today I'm back at one of my filming regular haunts, Horton Waters, lovely little farm CL site with a lake in the middle Nottinghamshire countryside. And the van I've brought today is the Globecar Summit Shine, their latest range, new this year. Now, this doesn't replace the existing Elegance or the Summit Prime. It's a new model, and in fact, well, 4 new models. This is the smallest one, the 540, 5.41 metres long, and of course, therefore on the medium wheelbase Fiat Ducato. There's also a 600 model. Yep, that's the 6 metre one, slightly longer, but the same sort of layout. And then interestingly, there's a 600L, which is the same as this shorter 540 at the front, but manages to squeeze in lengthways single beds into the 6 metre van. And of course at the top, as usual with these continental campervan ranges, you've got the 640, the longest van, 6.36 metres long, and again with single beds at the back. But this is the baby of the range, and let's have a good look at it. So this one is nice and compact. In fact, 5.41 metres long is only a tad longer than a long wheelbase Transit Custom or VW T6.1, a smaller type of campervan. Of course, it won't go under height barriers. It's 2.58 metres high, and it is just a little bit wider than the smaller vans. This is 2.05 metres wide, but still a lot more compact than a coach-built motorhome. Great for taking down those country lanes. Now, being a continental campervan, of course, the sliding door stays on the off side, but you might just have noticed a little bit of whirring there. This sliding door has soft closing, and that's something you very rarely see on any Fiat campervan unless it's a Globecar. So it's compact, but is the pricing compact too? Well, the Summit Shine 540 starts at $62,995. Well, it doesn't really, because on top of that you've got to add the UK comfort package, because, well, us Brits don't like our campervans as basic as they do in Germany. For £1,995, that gives you cruise control, traction plus, this gloss black grille and the black headlight surrounds, a leather steering wheel, the upgraded heating, so it goes up from a 4 kilowatt Truma combi boiler to the 6 kilowatt one, but importantly it also adds mains power as well as gas. Then you get this painted front bumper, wheel trims and radio preparation, but not a radio. You will have to budget that on top. So that's what you get effectively for 65 grand. This one inevitably has some options on top. The key one of which, the most expensive but also the most desirable, is the 9-speed automatic gearbox, £3,750. Now, we've heard some rumours that that lovely 9-speed automatic gearbox is not long for this world, maybe another year, who knows. But if you can get one, because they are brilliant. On top of that, well, you've got your alloy wheels, they're £825, and this grey paint, Campervolo grey, which I think rather suits this van. That is also an option, £595. Alternatively, for the same money, you can have it in Lanzarote grey, and there is special order Storm Blue Metallic as well as a further option, but that is more expensive. LED daytime running lights are £345, and then inside the camper you've got 2 electric packages adding extra sockets. They're £250 for the first package and £230 for the second one. And then also this one has a third berth. Normally it's just a 2-berth as standard, and that third berth is £395. Total is £71,380, which for a top quality German campervan Doesn't sound too bad these days. So what can I tell you about the exterior? Well, of course, it's standard Fiat panel van, but with these graphics which are not garish, just do a little to lift the van look. I think they're quite effective. Then, of course, you've got your mains hookup point and your cassette servicing hatch down here. But one thing that marks the Summit Shine out as a premium model is these nice framed windows. So much neater than those caravan style windows that stick out proud of the bodywork. Back in the rear corner here, you've got your fresh water filler. Now that's 85 litres and inboard in this back corner. So much better for winter camping than any underslung tank, because I have experienced, even in the UK in extreme weather, heated and insulated underslung tanks can freeze. Of course, the waste tank, well, that is underslung. You can have it insulated as an option. It's not as standard, but one thing I do like is that you've got a nice large bore waste drain, so you won't be parked over the emptying point for a long time, and you won't have one of those horrible fiddly little plastic taps to play with and get your hands all filthy. Around at the back, you've just got a bit of branding on the vehicle, and again these nice framed windows, but no parking sensors in the back bumper. I was a little bit disappointed not to find those, and if you want a reversing camera, well, you'll certainly have to budget to add that, perhaps as part of your radio package. Another thing you may want to add, which isn't standard, is a solar panel, but there's plenty of room up on the roof for that. Now, this being a Continental camper van, it's no surprise to find a fixed bed and a large storage area at the back. In fact, that's 1.04 metres wide, 1.09 metres deep that way, and 71 centimetres high. So plenty of room for your barbecue, outdoor chairs, all that sort of gear. Now, if you're wondering what this black item is here, that is the cab bed, or the third berth that I mentioned earlier. If you don't have that, of course, the whole area is yours for storage. Your water tank is built in over here with a little servicing hatch at the top. And over on this side, you've got your gas locker, and I believe that takes one 11 kilo cylinder and one 5 kilo. I couldn't help thinking it'd be better if the door was here, so that when you need to change cylinders, you didn't have to move whatever you got stored in this area. You have got tie-down hooks though to secure whatever you're carrying. And if what you want to carry is bigger still, well, that's possible. You just need to remove the centre sections of mattress, the centre sections of mattress frame, and you can even lift out this part so that you can load items through the vehicle. What you will note is that there aren't any straps or anything to keep all this safe, so you'll probably need to put it lower down and make sure it's secure. And now might be a good opportunity to show you that third berth, because this is quite unusual. So, firstly, the cab seats need to be facing forward and back nearly as far as they'll go. And then you just add these little wedge cushions before adding the main bed mattress, which is best slid in from the driver's side, I've found. It's definitely one of those things that you'd get easier with practice, and then it's just secured with this strap around the grab handle. And then you've got a kiddie bed that still leaves your dinette bench unobstructed, it still leaves your sliding door unobstructed, so you've still got a reasonable amount of living area. For occasional grandchild, I think this works quite well, and it is only £395. The other alternative to add extra sleeping space is a pop top, but that's £7 grand. Or of course, you could just go for a freestanding awning. Now, it might be a bit small for me, but this bed measures 1.58 metres long, that's 5'2", by 64 centimetres wide, or 2'1", so plenty for a kid. And it is a completely flat mattress. And the cab blinds are standard equipment too. There's a fly screen on the door and a nice wide step that auto retracts. But inside, of course, it's the classic continental campervan layout. Half dinette, kitchen partly across the sliding door, fixed bed at the back and a washroom in the middle. So how has Globecar made the Summit Shine any different from all its competitors? Now, the first thing to show you is Globecar's multi-roof, because you won't see this anywhere else. Here you've got good headroom right into the cab. But if you want more storage, remember the days when all Fiat Ducatos had a big overcab shelf? Well, if you like that, you've still got a big overcab shelf, and it's even got a safety net to keep all your gear in place. But if you get to your campsite and you unload that stuff, or perhaps you're just going away for the weekend and you don't need as much space, well, you can simply take the shelf out altogether. Then there's the table, and of course that's got a name too. It's the Easy Move table. Well, I like the fact you can move it out of the way. It makes this area feel so much more spacious, because after all, this is only quite a small living space. So the Easy Move table stows vertically against the wall, but it's also got a little fold-up flap, ideal for a cup of coffee, or even just about big enough for a laptop. And then if you want a proper dining table, just undo this strap and actually for two people this is perfectly good enough. It's reasonably sturdy, there's no leg to get in the way, and well, definitely one of the best tables you'll find in a campervan like this. Now, the rest of this lounge area is quite conventional for this type of van, but it's not short of good details. You've got this black surround to the window that's backlit. Well, that's quite nice. More useful perhaps, this is this rail with a movable reading light and a double USB port. Just position those where you want along the rail. If you want a TV, well, Globecar have thought about that, mounting it of course on the wall of the washroom there, but you've got aerial sockets, 12 volt and 230 volts, and more USBs up in that corner above the rear travel seat. These touch on and touch off reading lights in the cab as well. Often reading lights in the cab seem to get forgotten in campervans, so that's another plus. And up above, although you haven't got of course the big overcab sunroof that you get say in Summit Prime and other models on the market, you have got this big hecky roof light over the lounge, so plenty of daylight in this space. And not only that, but it's not for once the cheap push-up one, it's the proper windy one. On the decor front, well, It's perhaps not 50 shades of grey, but certainly many shades of grey, just with these white stripes in the upholstery and these dark strips of mocha wood on the top lockers to give it a bit of variety. I think I really like, though, not just these dark wood strips, but the lighting that runs through the top cupboards. That definitely adds a touch of class. As for storage, well, of course, you've got a top locker above the dinette there. You've got a little bit of storage in this false floor under the table. And, well, under the bench seat, there's not really any storage there because that's where the combi boiler lives. Although you might squeeze a few oddments down the side if you were careful. And at this point, let me just interrupt proceedings to remind you that all these reviews are brought to you by Magazine, Britain's leading magazine for, well, as long as I've been around. So there are some differences in this van, not least the multi-roof and the easy move table. But in Germany, the Summit Shine is more different because this seat comes as a single seat. Now in the UK, SMC have ordered all their stock vehicles with a double passenger seat because they felt that was more conventional and more likely to be accepted by the UK customer. If you want one with a single seat, and you might do if you want the extra floor space, say for a dog, you can have one, but that will then be a fresh factory order, so you might wait rather longer for it. Another option that can be specified as an add-on to this four-seater model is a fifth seat that slots into the side of this bench and makes this a five-seater for travel. But do remember, of course, that that seat will block the aisle, so it's really only for travelling use, not when you're camping in the vehicle. And anyway, this is only a three-berth van. Turning to the kitchen, and this is by no means a unique feature, but it is a good one. First of all, this is a compressor fridge, and it's a good capacity, 98 litres. Unusually, the controls are above the door, so you're not fiddling around at low level trying to operate the fridge. But the thing I really like is that, well, if you're in the dinette, it's easy to access. But if you're sitting outside on a warm day, even better for getting another cold drink. So the rest of the kitchen, well, the fittings are what you'd expect: a 2-burner hob and sink, and the hob has spark ignition. But what you wouldn't perhaps expect is this area of worktop, which is really very generous, and that's because of the design of this combi sink and cooker unit. But not only have you got all that worktop space, but you've got a worktop flap here, and usually not at the end of the unit, which then of course blocks the sliding door, but at the side here. Now you'd have to be exceptionally thin to squeeze through. I'm not going to try it to squeeze through there, but it is useful extra preparation space for the chef. And with that folded, storage is good too. You've got a really large cutlery and utensil drawer, and then two more drawers below that, the top one of which is large enough, well, for my coffee machine and other essentials. There's more storage, of course, in these top lockers, again with these dark wood strips and the inset lighting, and those cupboards go right the way round the back of the campervan. But what I really like is that they all have a fiddle rail to keep their contents safely in place. Down below, of course, you've still got power sockets, 12 volt and 230 volt, but just the one of each in the kitchen. Now, of course, you might be thinking that having just a 2-burner hob is too limiting and you need a van with an oven. But perhaps you don't, because I've just got this Ramoska in on test. It's basically an electric oven hooked up to the mains anyway here. So in 10 minutes or so I've cooked this pizza from the local shop, and well, yesterday it did a jacket potato, and of course you can easily store it away in the garage. So opens up new possibilities if you want a van that you can't buy with an oven, and that's just about 170 quid if you buy it online. That looks perfect, which leaves my only criticism of this kitchen being that you really need a splash guard between the sink and your bedding. So the washroom, well, the cassette toilet that I'm sitting on is the Dometic one, which I think is far superior. And then you've got this nice oval bowl on a plinth, plenty of mirrors, good roof light above, so lots of daylight in here as well. Those are all positives. And strangely, you've got a 12-volt socket in here too, which is, well, I think that's a first for me. But you can't easily get your head over the wash basin for a good splash to wake you up in the morning because, well, really the tap and the mirror get in the way. There's a decent amount of space in here though, and, well, space to use the facilities, but no storage space. There's a little bit of worktop so you can put things down, but there's nowhere really in here to store them. But the big plus of this washroom is its swing wall shower. So no need to have a clingy curtain. It's a decent sized cubicle, and now you have got space to keep your shampoo and conditioner and so on in there while you're showering. And even better, there's 2 drains in the shower tray, so it should all clear away nice and easily. And so to the bed. Well, access is nice and easy because there's a fixed step. And the dimensions are pretty good for such a compact van. Because the Fiat is wide and it doesn't need those bulges on the outside, you can get a decent length of bed across the van, and Globecar seem to really maximise that, going right in to the shape of the Ducato panel van. So 1.93 metres or 6 foot 4 inches long by 1.4 metres wide at this head end, narrowing to 1.16 metres at the foot. As you can see, the bed narrows quite a bit around the washroom, but I reckon this would still be a decent size for me and Mrs. Vaughan. The only thing is, despite these lovely reading lights on rails again, well, of course you can't sit up because of the top lockers. Well, maybe I'll forgive that in this smaller van because you probably do need the storage. Maybe it would be better to have a deep locker over your feet and no locker over your head. I'll leave that one for Globecar's designers, maybe in the 2025 model year. The other thing I'd really like to add though is a roof vent here, because your only ventilation is these opening windows in the back doors. Did I hear you say, what? No wardrobe? Fear not. Globecar have thought of that too, and it's easy to access even though it is hidden under the head of the bed. Just one cushion to move and lift up a flap, and there you are. A surprisingly good wardrobe. Time now to go for a drive. So, driving this Globecar. Well, it's the standard 140 bhp engine, which in the past I've found to be a little bit lacking when combined with the 9-speed automatic gearbox. But this is only a small van, and I've just been whizzing down the A1. Well, there's no shortage of performance in this vehicle. You would be 100% happy with the way it goes, and you wouldn't want for more. Part of that is because it doesn't weigh too much. This is a 3.5 ton, 3,500 kilo maximum gross weight base vehicle. That's an upgrade from the German spec, which is the 3.3 ton van. So the 3.5 ton van gives you about 800 kilos of payload. You're never going to run out of that, are you? Otherwise, spec, well, it's got the larger 90 litre fuel tank. it's got ESP, ASR and hill holder, traction plus, cab air conditioning, cruise control, all the bits that you'd expect, stop start even, but perhaps not some of the newer bits of kit that you can now get on a Ducato, like the electric handbrake or the fully electronic display for the instruments. But frankly, I don't really miss any of that. It drives well, typical Fiat. I mean, it's a very firm ride, but it's got nice sharp handling, feels very stable on the road. That hard ride, does it elicit rattles? Well, this Globecar isn't completely silent, but it is very, very good. You certainly wouldn't complain driving this van compared with a lot of others that I've driven of late. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty quiet on the road. The star feature, well, that has to be the 9-speed automatic gearbox. The feature that, if anything, lets it down, well, as with any Fiat, it's this plasticky dated dashboard and the general fact that the interior of this van basically dates back to about 2007. It hasn't really changed that much in all that time. But yeah, generally this is a nice little vehicle to drive because it just feels so manoeuvrable. So, final verdict time on this Globecar Summit Shine 540. Well, there's no doubt that this is a good quality campervan, as you'd expect from such a well-respected German brand. It's got lots of little things going for it. I mean, this is a crowded market, these fixed bed Fiat campers, but things like the fridge on the end, decent kitchen worktop, the swing wall shower, the fold away table, they're all good plus points for this particular model. Things I don't like, well, it really could do with a roof vent above the bed and a splash guard to protect your bedding when you're washing up at the sink. The multi-roof, maybe it's a bit of a gimmick, but it actually does give you a bit of flexibility in whether you use that for storage or just benefit from the walk-through. So lots and lots of really good detailing in this van, and whereas some of its rivals just feel a bit too confined in the 5.4 metre version, this one actually works really well, and I like its extra manoeuvrability. So thumbs up for the Globecar, and I hope you've enjoyed our latest video review. Keep watching, keep subscribing, lots more content coming along soon.